Let's admit, the default TF2 settings are trash and deserve to be criticized. Your view model FOV is at 54, your desired FOV is at 70, and for some reason fast weapon switch is disabled. Like, come on, how do you expect me to play like this and stay alive? But the thing that gets criticized a lot is the default HUD. Let's talk about that.
And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to fight.
The default HUD is really hated in TF2 for some reason.
Sorry about that. I have to use the default HUD, and I don't like the default HUD so much, so.
The default HUD in TF2 doesn't look that great. It's alright, but it's really cluttery. There's tons of stuff everywhere.
What you're looking at now is the default TF2 HUD, and while some players like it, you really should switch off of it and install a custom HUD instead, because there's a number of problems with the default HUD.
Of course, there's other HUDs out there that look really cool, and I can actually see why people prefer to get their own custom HUD. But why is the default HUD hated so much? Well, it's kinda buggy. Things are positioned really messy, like your kill streak and your vaccinator resistance. With all the other HUDs that you can download from HUDs.tf, things can be positioned way better and can actually give you an interesting experience with the game. Raise HUD and Butt HUD are actually the most popular in the community, but a custom HUD I think looks really cool, and actually one I recommend using if you want to get a custom HUD yourself is Flaw HUD. I think it looks really cool and is really well put together. But if I think these HUDs are cool, why am I still using the default HUD? Well, I actually kinda like it. Okay, I technically am using a custom HUD. I'm using the improved default HUD, which is just a default HUD but way better. What I really like about the other HUDs is that you can zoom into your loadouts, you can have damage numbers right above your health, and you can switch the colors. Except for whatever reason, no matter which HUD I use, when I click on blue, my Australian just turns into stock. Like, come on, I just want to see what my Aussie looks like on my blue loadout, like, come on. But the main point I'm trying to make here is, I personally like the default HUD, and I kinda wish it did the stuff the other HUDs do. So that's why I downloaded the improved default HUD, which can also be found in HUDs.tf. Link in the description if you want to check it out yourself. Now yes, I'm technically a liar for saying that I use the default HUD, when in reality I use a modified version of it. But the whole point in this video is that the default HUD actually doesn't look as bad as people say it does. I personally like how the default HUD looks. I think it's okay. But there's another reason why people use custom HUDs, and let me tell you why. So there's a couple of reasons why people want to use other HUDs. One obviously being that the default HUD is really broken and needs to be fixed. The second being that the other HUDs look really cool. Which is cool, there's nothing wrong with that. But a reason that popped into my head, which is mainly a theory really because I don't think this is a really huge reason to switch your HUDs, but I think a reason why people switch to another HUD is because, well, your favorite TF2er is using it. There's a lot of TF2 YouTubers that use custom HUDs. Uncle Dane used to use Raise HUD back in the day, but later switched to Bud HUD. And Muselk, back when he did TF2 videos, used to use Eve HUD, which is kinda why these HUDs are getting popular, because these big TF2 YouTubers are using it and it helped them get attention. There's a reason why people ask these guys, what HUD do you use? Well, because they want to try it out for themselves to see if they like it. Then they try it and then they end up enjoying it a lot. Good on you guys. You guys just help the creator of the HUDs get more traction. Out of all TF2bers, I would say about 80% of them actually use a custom HUD. Yes, it's true. Some TF2bers actually use a default HUD. Lazy Purple, Big Joey, Squim Jim from After Breakfast. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's really cool that I'm not the only one that likes the default HUD. It goes to show you that just because a lot of people hate the default HUD, doesn't mean that you should too. Seeing that these great TF2 YouTubers like to use the HUD themselves, shows you that it doesn't matter what people think. You should stick to whatever suits you best and do whatever makes you happy. These guys actually make really great videos, by the way, you should totally check them out. Here's a couple points I wanted to make because I really don't want to seem super biased making this video about how the default HUD is perfect and you shouldn't be downloading custom HUDs or anything, because that is not at all what this video is about. This vid is about why I personally like the default HUD, and here are actually some points I thought I'd like to share with you guys. Is the default HUD perfect? No. It has its ups and downs, and I think Valve should do something to fix it soon because I think there's still some stuff that needs to be fixed. Should you switch to another HUD if you don't like the default HUD? Absolutely. I think the default HUD is good for new players who just got into the game. But if they see that it's not for them, they should totally switch to something that makes them have fun to play on and should just stick with whatever makes their boat float. Is the default HUD the worst HUD? No. I actually saw a few HUDs that are actually worse than the default HUD, and I actually tried them out for myself and it was just so hard to play on. There really is no worst HUD because it's just personal preference. But I really don't think the default HUD is as bad as people say it is. And once again, if you want to use the improved default HUD that I use, which is just a default HUD but can do the things the other HUDs can do, links will be in the description once again. The default HUD is still a good HUD in my eyes, and it definitely doesn't deserve the heat that it normally gets. I love this thing, and I find it so fun to use. But what do you guys think about the default HUD? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you agree or disagree with the points I made? Leave a comment below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. If you guys want to see more TF2 content, subscribe and I'll be happy to do so. You can also follow me on Twitter @RocketManFran to keep yourself updated with my stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you all in the next video. Later.